Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom. It's Sunday Night Live. That means Mock Draft Live with Dan Harms and myself leading you through this conversation. We're going to have a lot of fun, and there's lots of scenarios. We're going to talk trades tonight. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, sub, and hit the bell. I'm Ryan Tracy. This is Daniel Harms. This is what we do, Dan. It's been interesting lately because a lot of people are coming around to some things that we started saying back in like November. And amazingly, some cool things are starting to happen. Anything standing out to you? Do you want to hit off the top?
Not a ton. I think that we've gotten to the point now where the real people are going back through their film takes. Like, it's funny to see people recycling their own stuff and going back through it again. I'm like, and realizing, oh, maybe this isn't what I thought, or like trying to reaffirm some of their own things that don't make sense to me. Like, I'll be very honest. I've seen some wild takes throughout draft season, some real wild stuff. So at this point in time, we get to deal with the full animosity of draft Twitter, of NFL Twitter, of fantasy Twitter, because that's finding its way into this whole nonsense too. So it's just try to zero in and lock in on what we do, because at the end of the day, the film for these guys is going to be, I would say, about 75 to 80% of how they actually make it onto the field and how they produce as professional athletes. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah. I mean, hey, production is part of it. Everybody who tells you they don't care about production, that's because they had one conversation with one person who wasn't concerned about it in the league. The league cares about production in college. I guarantee you. It's just a varying degree of how much. So I work into all the algorithms that I put into the draft guide after we do our grades and we pull all the stats and we do all the work on the matrix. The matrix is just part of it. And I have been updating lately, folks. So you can still get over there and get it. It will be updated in its final version a week or two before the draft. You can get it right here. You can wrong code. This is for you guys. The Locked On folks get a code too. So check that out right there. In fact, I should probably make that like not be a ticker is probably what I should do.
Maybe a little bit.
Let's just do that. There we go. Nice and simple. So here's the thing. Draft guide's coming along. We're making good progress. It's not going to be here this Wednesday like I'd originally planned. It's probably more like Friday or next Monday as the way that it's going. Dan and I are grinding it out with not as much help as we had expected. So as we pull it all together, that discount is still going to work for you there. And it is going to have everything that we have looked at, thought about, read a stat on. Literally upwards of 260 prospects will be in this draft guide. A couple of new twists that I'm doing to kind of break down the analysis a little bit farther. You're going to get a nice heat map for where I ranked all the quarterbacks. I took those on myself. We didn't even screw around with Patrick around. You know, you really don't have to. So it's going to be great, and I'm excited about it. So check out Rogue APC. It's not available for pre-order yet. I believe that goes up tomorrow, so you can start getting that tonight and ask your questions tomorrow night, as that's your show, the Q&A. But tonight, I know some of you have questions. I've seen a couple. We're going to go and take those along as we go. But tonight is your draft. We're going to present to you options. You guys are going to vote in the chat as to what we actually do. And that's probably the formula that I think works the best for these Sunday night guys. So that's what we're going to go with tonight. I hope you guys are ready for it. I'm looking forward to it. If you want to get a question in and we may miss it, you can certainly add the super chats. You can support the channel that way, and we'll definitely see them. So those all get answers. You can grab some gear in the RGR store. The black MVP logo is out of stock right now, but you can get the white and the gray. So check those out, and I'll let you guys know when they're back as soon as possible, knock on wood. So that said, I don't think we're going to see any pre-draft movement in terms of a trade, but trade I know is not something that you looked at last week. And so I think we should look at it right now as a start, because I think it's going to come down to draft night. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I do too. I think they're going to do this on draft night, much like they did last year, where they traded up to go get Trent McDuffie. I think whatever ends up happening, there's going to be somebody, because that's just kind of how drafts work. Somebody that's a talented player will fall because 4 quarterbacks are going to the top 10, top 12, because offensive tackle run is going to happen, because the corner run is going to happen, because the defensive end run is going to happen. There's going to be people, there's going to be guys that fall that the Chiefs like, that the Chiefs want to go get, and they're going to find a way to go get that done. So this is just them going to play a little bit everything close to the chest, and whoever ends up falling, they're just going to be like, pull the trigger on draft night and go do it.
Pluck you from the pile as though you were meant for me anyway. Well, let's take a look at what we have on the table. And again, folks, if you do have a question, hit the super chat or put question marks before your question, and we will get to them. Looks like I am having just a slight fluctuation in my interweb. So let me pump this up. And why don't you walk us through, Dan, the picks that we have and what you'd like to see them do?
All righty. So let's see here. The Chiefs have 31, 63, 95, 122, 134, 166, 178 from Chicago, 217, 249, and 250. Those are back-to-back in the 7th round to end their draft. So typically, I think what we've kind of landed on over the last month is that tackle and or defensive end is likely going to be their first-round pick. Does that mean they don't go wide receiver? Does that mean that they surprise us? You never know. It's Brett Veach, and I never rule anything out except now drafting a running back in the first round. I don't think they're ever going to do that again. So I think ideally, looking at where the Chiefs want to end up trading up, that's going to be where it comes a little bit tricky to predict where they're going to try to get to, because I still think they're doing their due diligence on the teams that are in front of them, like the Bills. They might want to try and get ahead of them. I believe that they're also looking at wide receiver, edge rusher, tackle, possibly the same kind of places and kind of things that I think the Bills are looking at and the Chiefs are looking at. So that's always a nice little back and forth between the teams to figure out, get in the headspace of that team, see what they're trying to get and how you can find a way to get in front of them. So I don't know about you, but I think that we've kind of settled on defensive end and tackle, but wide receivers still, it's starting to make more and more sense as they have a couple of guys that have come in. Quentin Johnston now has been a top 30 visit for them, which I think is more to find out why his game was so jump, skip to the left, jump, skip to the right. Like he was so back and forth, and it wasn't all his fault. TCU's offense is extremely narrow, what they asked him to do. It's very narrow. So he was basically this guy, oh, you run a curl, we'll throw a little screen to you, or go down the field. Pretty much. Didn't operate a ton. He had some drags. I'll say there were some drags in his.
The drags worked against K-State pretty dang well.
Yeah, they worked against Michigan too, surprisingly enough. So you find ways to get him the ball underneath, but they got to find out how hard are you going to work at getting better down the field with your catching. Because if you actually go back and look at some of these guys, and I know I'm taking a long time talking about this, but catch technique isn't something that's harped on a whole lot. Marquez Valdez-Scantling has struggled with catching the football for a long time. He still does. There's a lot of guys that come into the league and they're too busy learning the playbooks, learning the route trees, learning defensive manipulation tactics, that catching is kind of a secondary nature to them. So
right.
We'll kind of see how they view that. But I think he's somebody that he falls down far enough, they'll be going to get him.
Where do you think he falls?
I don't think he does personally.
Okay.
I think that he'll go inside the top 20. But if he starts hitting, if he's there around 20, 21, 22, that's where I think the Chiefs are going to look to make their move.
Okay. I kind of feel that way too, because I threw up here on the screen 13, right? Just as I think that's the absolute top that they can afford to do. And as you can see here, this is just one algorithm. This isn't the end all be all, but I agree with this. Yeah. It's going to take the first and the second, plus probably a 2024 selection. The sevenths don't garner you much help. And so that's just too rich for my blood. I got to tell you. So then I come down to Green Bay. I think Green Bay's stuck. I don't think they're going to get out of 15. Even for a second, they're not budging, right, in this scenario. And that makes sense because you've depleted your target share. You have Jordan Love, like you need players. Yeah. You can't afford to move around. Then I look at Commanders, a place that was giving me trade value a couple of weeks ago in this particular algorithm for 31 and 95 is no longer interested. It's like even multiple, like give them all the picks. They ain't interested. Yeah. They ain't moving. Okay, fair enough. So then I come to the Bucks. And the Bucks seems to be a place where you can get something done, but it's just so expensive. I'm still not so into it. Like, would I give up a third rounder next year? Not if you got a gun to my head.
No.
It just doesn't make much sense to get to 19. That's That's a legit 12 spots up. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So then Chargers ain't ever going to deal with you, but I did get them to pull a trade the other night. I was just playing around late one night, as you do. But for me, the prime landing spot is the Minnesota Vikings, especially when you go and you add Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I'll show you. You can get that done with Clyde and 31 in a couple of sevens.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's crazy, right? I don't think the price is really that cheap.
I don't think so either, but
I'm not gonna complain either. So why don't I give them 217? I'm gonna ask for 158 back, and they're still gung ho.
All right. So before you have the speed on turbo, and we had a problem with this last night where they wanted to be able to see as it was going, and we just zoomed right through. So let's turn it down probably halfway because fast even goes fast too. So try to let them. Yeah, I think we can try that, and then you can adjust it as it goes, which I do like. So that's just something I wanted to get the chat through because I know they've been asking for it just this time around too.
Good call. I'd never even considered that. Let me see. I got to make sure I can have the start-stop button, folks. I'm trying to make this work. Again, if you have questions, we will get to them in between picks and things like that as we're going through the discussions. But hit them with the super chats right now, and we'll make sure that we answer them no matter what. So I'm going to pull the trigger on this then. Letting Clyde go, knowing you're going to pull that back in a late-round pick or UDFA, and you know you're going to fill it out. I think Jerick McKinnon's back. I think that's a done deal, not a problem. So I'm going to give him all the sevens because I couldn't care less. I'm going to get 158 back. I'll go 31 for 23. They should take it. But for some reason, they didn't. Okay. So I'm going to give you 178 instead of 217. And they still don't want to take it. That's crazy. This literally worked about 2 hours ago, like incessantly. I'm a little bit shocked. Maybe in the last 2 hours, interesting. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is significantly cooled. Let's try that again. There we go.
There we go.
I was like, dang, y'all are hard to please.
Just gotta call him a few extra times,
right? Yeah. Hey, sometimes that's what it takes. So let's kick this off, and we'll let it run a few picks into the top 10, and we'll see where we are because this is like my nightmare scenario, as you can see. Skoronski and Broderick Jones go in the top 6.
Yeah.
That I'm weeping over here. And
Tyree
I know
Wilson at 3. Jeez.
I know, right? It's crazy. And
why are the Lions taking Broderick Jones? Why?
Good question. Yeah, because
this is
this too far out? Should we reset the whole thing?
I just don't. That pick makes no sense to me. That pick makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. Oh wait, did I set it up wrong? Is it me? Is it randomness is too much, or how should we set this?
I don't have honestly. I try to just do less. A draft for needs probably needs to be more.
Okay, let's try this and see if that works better. We'll go back to Minnehaha, and we'll trade that. We'll give you those and those and those. And now they don't want to do it? Are you kidding me?
There's no Clyde attached.
Oh, there's no Clyde attached. You're right. You're right. I love it when you do that because, I'm dumb. Here we go. Oh, and look at that. It's a 91, and I don't even have to do that, but I want 158 people. I really want that. So I'm taking
You should.
Yeah.
4th round picks are also gold to Brett Veach and the Chiefs. They're very good at the 4th round picks.
Okay, done deal. We are now at 23. We start again.
It's on turbo.
Yep, and that's what happens. But I got it stopped. Well, I didn't get it stopped. It came down to us. Let's see what happened.
That's fine.
So Skoronski again at 6.
Yeah, that's
Quentin Johnston at 9. Paris at 11. Oh, I'm not seeing his name.
Interesting.
Is this possible? It is. Broderick Jones is available at 23 in this particular scenario. Not many things could have gone better, in my opinion, but let's walk this through for everyone. Yeah. And thank you, Night Hunter. I hear you. I'm not going to draft a fullback. I promise you. Top guys at their positions. The top edge on the board is Nolan Smith. He is my number 3 overall. He's so close to being number 2 as well. And we're going to talk about the guy with him in a little bit because he did go. But Miles Murphy's been falling down to the Chiefs in a lot of simulations.
Oh, please.
And I'm hearing the same thing around the league. So
Fine.
Please. Yeah, I will take it all day long. Dalton Kincaid is here. He's my tight end one. Deontay Banks is a top 5 corner. Neither of those trump either the edge or the offensive tackle. So it's a Georgia player in my mind. Do you see anything different, Dan?
No, I think that they would be hard pressed to pass on either of them personally. I think just the fact that Nolan Smith is such a good defensive run stopper for us, a guy his size, would also make them a little more lenient to pick someone his size. So I do believe it's coming down to, in this situation, it's one of those two guys.
Okay. We are not going to trade out because we have 2 of the guys that are on our board in this position. So, folks, let's make it super easy. In the chat, your vote. Do you want the undersized edge that can help them if they wanted to go to a 3-4? He can be an outside edge rusher in sub packages specifically and still bring that speed. Do you want the guy that's the top of my tackle board at number 1 is Broderick Jones? At the very least, the consensus is that he's number 3. So which do you want? Is it tackle Jones? Is it edge Nolan Smith? Vote in the chat and we will do what you guys decide. In the meantime, I'm going to take a shot at one of the questions and we'll go from there. Special said, or Sugary said, cards on the table. The draft, the more this draft process goes on, I'm convinced the Chiefs won't draft an OT first, barring someone like Broderick Jones dropping into our lap. Well done, Sugary. Well done. and that, again, that comes back to Brett Veach's philosophy of setting it up so you don't have to. So it's not an absolute, right? So he feels he can go to war right now with Lucas Niang and Juwan Taylor. I'm not comfortable with that. But if he can't get anything done, he could select a dev guy. I've done a lot of mocks lately where I know where my developmental guys are. And by the way, the guy that plays opposite Broderick Jones is a lot higher, I think, than most people are giving him credit for. So that's always an option to go a mid-round dude that you feel can grow into it. But I can understand where you're coming from. If a situation like this is there, I think the Chiefs would lean tackle in this situation. But if you had like a premier edge available, I got to think that they'd consider that as well. Do you think so, Dan?
I think they would. I think they would consider it, but I think that right now we've seen them put emphasis on protecting Patrick. I think that this would be too much for them to pass up personally to with what they view, what they value in this team, and it's protecting Patrick, and that would make more sense to me. And the chat also seems to agree with the overwhelming majority from what I've seen has been Broderick Jones.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well. Although Mahomes 7262, you're voting an awful lot. I'm really impressed with how quick you're doing this.
And maybe I'm just seeing more of him.
There is a lot of him in here.
Oh man.
Thundarius is also a Georgia fan, and I think he'd be very happy with this. But I think there are other voters as well, and that's kind of what it comes down to. Let's fill a need. You know what I mean?
Before you pick, make sure to hit that speed down because it's going to take off after you.
Oh, right. Thank you. I'm glad you are here to tell me this. Okay, so we'll grab Broderick, and we'll see what happens next. Nolan goes right after him, as he should have. Kalijah, Brian Brisset. I think that's a realistic area for him, low 20s. And there's Darnell Wright, which is interesting because if Broderick had not been there, Darnell is the next guy on my board. And I don't know if you want to give away your board, but how do you feel about if he were there at 31, would you be comfortable going with the right tackle that really could play left in a pinch, I think?
Yes. He's my offensive tackle too, y'all. Like he's my guy. I love Darnell Wright. So Broderick Jones is 1 and Darnell Wright is 2. That's a dream scenario for me.
Now, you guys can find our draft boards about a week before the draft. We will have them complete earlier if we can get them done. But Dan and I are both grading tackles in the draft guide. So you're going to see a consensus ranking from our film grades, plus the production and the athleticism. And so it's all going to be in there. You don't want to miss that. So go over to Rogue APC. I'll get the pre-order up tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Let's get another look at what happened in this second round. Darnell did go. Jalen Hyatt went. Some positions of interest. DeJuan Jones, the guy refused to weigh in at the pro day.
Yeah, that's a red flag. That's a red flag.
I mean, it's just kind of weird. I think Emmanuel Forbes in the 40s is crazy. He weighs $166.
I don't care. Don't care.
It's not enough to survive the season. even if
he's
you're
already
talking
put on
about
5 pounds. He's at
has he?
171 from what I understand. He's going to probably try and put on more heading into the season. I'm taking a shot because I think he's that good of a corner from what
His
I've
ball
seen.
skills are very, very impressive. I would almost either put him in a cover 3 scheme or I might even move him to free.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I would pretty much have him playing off ball as much as I can. Be like that fill a Marcus Peters role. Finds a defense that will put you in a Marcus Peters role, and he'll just have his way.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Let's see what happens. Couple of K-Staters go off the board at 51 and 53 in Brent's and Felix. I like that. BJ's in here. BJ's going to grow on people when he gets to the league. I think playing at LSU has been a little bit tough, but his skill set can transition. I think it will come through.
It's just the run defense that teams are like, because it's really bad. It's real bad.
Yeah, it's good at times and it's bad most of the time.
Yeah, it's bad most of the time. That's right.
Charbonnet goes at 60. I think that's interesting.
That makes sense.
Pretty good. Sets us up to be here at 63, where I think this is crazy to have Tank Dell even like ranked at 43. I think he's a third-round player at best, maybe even less. You've done more work on the wide receivers than me, though. So how do you feel about him?
I like him a lot better than you do. I don't think I would take him in the second, but I think he's an early third-round pick. Like I'm pretty comfortable with that.
We're not that far apart then. Top versus bottom of the third. That's cool. Bergeron is a guy that I've been kind of keeping an eye on for the second round. If we hadn't gone tackle early, and then we get into Nick Herbig, I don't think he can survive at edge for me. I don't think he's a guy. I did a really interesting, and I do want you guys to go sub to Locked On Chiefs, either here on YouTube or on the audio, because I did something super cool to trade down for the mock draft on Locked On Chiefs today. And I got both Dan's and my, not our top wide receivers, but the guys that we actually like a lot.
There we go.
Both.
There you go.
Yeah, you guys want to see that. So this comes down to value for me. There's a couple of receiver talents here. There's a couple of edge talents here. I'm not sure there's anybody that I feel really fits the edge style. But how do you feel?
It's just Hall. Hall's the only guy that I see that actually fits their defense. Like he is. He's long. He's powerful. He's going to collapse the pocket. He's actually got first step quickness, in my opinion, and burst off the line. But he's the only guy I can see fitting from that perspective for what they want. So,
and it's a huge difference between him and KJ Henry, who I actually like, and I agree can fit as well. I don't see Hall as powerful enough with the anchor. I don't see him setting the edge as well. I love his first step though, and that's something that, especially if you've seen him play off ball. Did you get some of those reps?
Yeah, he's an animal in space too. Like he does a rep of him attacking Jahmyr Gibbs in space and just taking him down. Like he had nowhere to go. He just collapsed on him. So he's an interesting player. I don't disagree that he needs a little bit more functional strength for a guy his size, being able to set the edge, but I think he's capable of it. I just think maybe Auburn was just like, we don't care so much. I don't know. I don't really know what they were having him do, because he was playing a lot of different places and off ball into space and stuff like that. So not as bad as Isaiah Foskey, mind you, but
right. And by the way, Andre Carter might not even be draftable on my board when it's all said and done, folks.
I don't think, one, unless he was a first round pick, the Army's not releasing him. You think we've talked about that multiple times. Right. He's probably not even going to be a day 2 pick. I think he's going to be a day 3 guy, and we know the Army's definitely not releasing you for that. So
nope,
you're not going to get to play in the NFL anyway.
So we look at talent here. I mean, I like Carl Brooks, but he's not a top 63 player. He's a tweener. I don't think he can play on the edge in the pros. I mean, there's a transition to be had there. Eli Ricks is overrated here, in my opinion. I do think he's a fringe third round guy. I like Michael Wilson, but it's proof, right? Michael Wilson here versus A.T. Perry. Perry's my pick every day.
Yeah,
it just isn't that close. The interesting thing here, Dan, is we have Rashee Rice in the midst between where Perry is, Wilson is, and then we even have your guy Tillman is still here.
I don't think so. I think he's been taken already.
Did he? Really?
Why don't you just pull up the wide receiver list? Because if he's there, I mean, it's interesting.
I thought he was ranked below. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. Oh, they've got everybody here. Whew.
Yeah. Yeah. Wide receiver options are aplenty right here. I don't see an edge.
This is the
that we have
value
to move
spot
on.
for me. No, this is the
Agreed.
value spot. And I think while I do like A.T. Perry, I don't think the Chiefs are going to draft him.
Okay.
Even given the scenario. I don't even think it's that. He's just slow off the ball. This is a timing-based offense. You got to get out and get to your spot now. They want to get the ball out quick. So I think Rashee Rice makes some sense. I think he's probably more of an early third. But I do see taking him at 63 with the skill set he offers. Same with Cedric Tillman. And I'm much higher on Jaden Reed. Y'all know I would take him here too, but I don't think that's going to happen. I would personally. Okay. But
so let's A-B it. We have Derek Hall as an edge prospect. Let's find us. Who do you think is the best fit right here at 63 that the Chiefs are going to be interested? Not necessarily you and me.
I think it's going to be Rashee Rice.
Okay.
And so the fact that they've already had him in on a visit tells me that that's probably also true. To an extent.
Agree. I like that concept. I like Wilson. I haven't seen film of Rice. I have not broken down actual game film of him yet. So we have an opportunity. If we want to come back for Tillman, we can try that later. I think he's generally going in the 90s right before our next pick. We can check that out next time. We'll see if that works. We don't have any trade offers, so we're not trading down. So let's make it this. Is it Rashee Rice or is it Derek Hall? Make your votes in the chat, and we will see what we as a group decide to do.
Yeah.
Now, that said, let me get to another question. Frank asked Jones or Harrison at O-tackle at 31. I will not draft DeJuan Jones. If you want to get yourself right back in the problem you had with Orlando Brown not moving his feet, go draft DeJuan Jones.
Yeah.
He's a massive man, but he's the same player.
And again, the fact that he didn't weigh in at his pro day after he weighed in at the combine tells you he put on an unhealthy amount of weight since the combine. It's not good. That's a bad situation. And he also left the Senior Bowl. He's just stopped. He had a good first day. And he said, "All right, I'm out, guys. See ya." I don't know. That kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Yep, fair enough. And Harrison's a solid player too. The question becomes availability, and with Juwan being able to play both, and we do think he can play both. It leaves you that variability, that versatility to pick what you can, and I like that.
Yeah.
Mark asked, would it be better to draft a tight end over a wide receiver? The tight end class looks better compared to the wide receiver class. I don't necessarily agree with that, and I will tell you this: I think there's better value at tight end on day 3 than there is at wide receiver at tight end on day 3. So for me, waiting is about what's the value there, and I do think the tight ends will be more valuable.
Whew.
Do you agree?
I'm with you there, because I think that you still getting the top prospects, or at least the top talented wide receivers in the first 2 days is more important than getting one of the tight ends in the first days. You have a full tight end room already.
Fair enough. All right. Looking at this, Dan, I'm reading this as Rice is the winner. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's Rice. It's close though. I'll give it. This is close. But I think it's Rice.
Good spirited debate, folks. I like that. So, given that we don't have any trade offers, I'm not going to try to force one. So we are going to take Rashee Rice and put him on the roster, and we will see what comes next. Starting into round 3, Bergeron does go. We didn't talk about Clark Phillips. I think that's probably a little early for where I think he'll actually go. There goes Derek at 70. Perry Tillman right after him at 71 and 72. So we lost out on that opportunity. Had we really wanted one of those guys, the bigger bodied type dudes, now we know we probably have to look at doing that. Schoonemaker goes. I'm upset about that.
Whew. He's been climbing, man. He has been climbing.
That sucks. I am unhappy now. Byron Young is a guy that at 95 I think might be an option in reality. He is.
I'm with you.
Do you have you watched him and McDonald?
I've watched McDonald and I've seen Byron Young. I saw him at the Senior Bowl. Neither of them. I don't think McDonald is a Kansas City fit. I don't.
No,
I just don't. And so people keep saying that the Chiefs are going to draft this guy at 31. I'm just like, no. They're not going to. If they do, I'll be shocked. I'll tell you I was wrong. But right now, I'm going to tell you guys right now that are watching this, through the 350 of you that are in here, thank you very much. They're not drafting Will McDonald. They won't do it.
I have a hard time seeing it too, especially because he's going to go in the second. Here at this level, and certainly on day 3, you could take your chance. And the reason that he's not a fit is because he's not a power edge. He is a first step quickness dip and try to bend around the edge. Both these guys are the same thing. Byron Young had fits against the Georgia tackles, against who's the other one that I watched just the other day? No, it wasn't Bergeron. Anyway, there was another one where he just disappears at times because he doesn't have the power to play in Spag's system or anything close to it.
And he's
so they're
25.
luxury. Yeah. And you know,
25.
KJ's like 24, and that's the draw there too, right? But if you take them on day 3, now you can get a single contract if you have to. You can justify it being a 2-down player, not 3-down player, and I think that makes more sense.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I just think that they want to get younger, and that automatically makes their defense older by having a 25-year-old rookie on the roster, which I don't think that they want personally.
Fair point. My guy Chris Smith went just before we were able to pick. I couldn't justify taking a safety with the third pick anyway, but that's okay.
No, I get it.
So we've got the tackle, we've got the wide receiver. Now we need to look at the defensive line. And I do think that this is a legit scenario. If they can't get an edge that they want, they could just like take a step back and say, you know, we've got a many here to man the start. Let's bolster everything else and let's build us a rotation of young guys that we think can come in and crush and keep everybody's energy up. And that's when it starts for me to get into the idea of maybe Carl Brooks could play a 3-tech for you, possibly. Everyone knows how I feel about Moro Ajomo. Certainly could play in this. KJ Henry's here, and so is Isaiah McGuire. I don't like Isaiah quite as much, but he, again, as a 2-down player, as a 3rd-round pick, is much more appealing than, say, you know, McDonald in the 2nd. So that makes sense to me. Looking at other talent, and I'm just trying to narrow down positions, folks. I can't go halfback yet. This is
I like Kobe Turner.
Really high for Jalen Jones for me, though, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to say Mike Morris.
Mike Morris hadn't done much.
There's baggage there. Okay, fair enough. Gotcha. There's your guy Deuce. And folks, I think there's gonna be 3 K-Staters get drafted this round.
By the way, I saw someone today say that 446 for Deuce Vaughn was a bad time. So in case you guys are wondering how my time on Twitter has been lately, that's been what that is. So
I'm sorry, brother.
Oh, good Lord, man. I can't deal with this stuff. It's unheard of what's happening on the Twitter streets right now. People are down bad. But I like KJ Henry. I think that makes some sense for the Chiefs because, again, rotational defensive end that you can put in there with, you know, Amenwu and
sure.
I keep forgetting his name, and I can see him every time.
His name's Mike Dana.
It is Mike Dana. I actually think Mike Dana could be the starting defensive end next year, opposite of Karlaftis. I know that Amenwu got the money, but I personally think he's a much better rotational dude, spot starter. But we know that he's going to start, that Karlaftis is going to start. We know that Dana's going to rotate in there too. So you have 3 guys that they probably feel comfortable rotating in as a quote-unquote starter. So
yeah, agreed. And I think that's what it becomes. If you can't get X factor type guy, it's about raising your floor with rotation and guys that can give you solid snaps. You get to this point too, Zach Harrison is a Spags kind of guy. He is super long. He's super linear. He plays with power. He can't bend for nothing, but he is a Spags kind of dude.
Absolutely.
So I'm not suggesting it here. I'm just warning folks.
I think
he's going to be on their radar.
I think he's going to go in the 3rd round. I think that if he's there and the Chiefs have addressed other positions, I think that makes a lot of sense for them. A lot of sense.
Okay, so we're going to leave him on the board there. We have interior guys in Coburn, obviously Moro Jomo. We've taken him a lot. Yeah. I still love Yaya. We can come back for him later. Decide that.
I like Kobe Turner out of Wake, to be very honest with you. I'm a big fan of him. He's up there too.
Okay. So do we want to go edge? Do we have to go defense? I don't see any other, I don't see any corners or certainly safeties or anybody that's blowing me out of the water that says we can't go defense here, that we have to take because overall talent's available.
Yeah, no, I think that defensive end, defensive tackle is probably where they're going to spot here. Unless there was someone on the board that just they couldn't live without. I don't see that. Okay. So
I'm with you. So just because I've taken Morrow a number of times because I like him, let's
off the board.
narrow this down to KJ or Kobe.
Okay.
Kobe Turner's
KJ Henry or Kobe Turner?
Yeah. You have a little bit older, but a captain, a guy that has a good first step in KJ Henry, hasn't put it all together, has been overshadowed by Miles Murphy and honestly some other edges in the past. Can his jump to the pros really come on? Can Joe Cullen do something with him? Kobe Turner might be farther down the road in terms of an interior pass rusher than Henry is. I don't know how you feel about it.
I haven't done a ton. Like I said, I'm getting into. I've seen a little bit of Turner. Like from what I've seen of Turner, I really like him. Henry's a good player because again, when you're watching guys like Brian Brissy, you get flashes of some of these other players in there. So when I get into them, it's like I've got some flashes of both. But I've seen a little bit more of Turner myself, only because I
You've
get
been watching a lot of Wake, huh?
I mean, I don't have much Wake defense, but I've been able to watch more on YouTube of guys on the offensive side playing against him, so I've gotten more availability there. But that's my own thing. But we have lots of Turner in the chat here.
Oh, okay.
Already.
Lots of Turner. You guys are on top of it. Either KJ Henry or Kobe Turner. Put your vote in, and we'll let you guys decide here. Good jump on it, dudes. I like that everybody's in it. And ladies, whoever's in the chat tonight, we are not discriminating. Let's see. Jake, why not get Bigsby the running back? Because we're still in the top 100, bro. I won't do it. The Chiefs might, but I like Bigsby. From what I've seen, he's your 4. I thought that was
in the 4th.
Oh yeah, exactly.
In the 4th round, they got 2 picks. Look for them to go for a running back. By the way, look for that.
Day 3, I think that's the perfect time. I think Bigsby will be there. You guys know how I feel about Kenny. I think he's probably in the 5th-ish. Roshan, as we see, is still available here. I'll bet you he'll be available when the Chiefs pick next.
Yeah, I've seen a Chris Carson comp for him, and I like that. That makes a lot of sense. Very much not going to run by you, just going to run through you.
Yeah. But Jake, that's why there's good depth, and again, the running back position just doesn't carry the value. Yeah. So I think the Chiefs have learned their lesson from Clyde. I don't think they're taking a top 100 back. They might not do it again in Andy Orvich's tenure. I got to tell you.
Yeah, I don't think that's too far off. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Mizzou, good question. Colby Wooden's okay. He's just terribly inconsistent from the film that I've seen. I had to downgrade him pretty good on just the fact that I don't know which guy I'm going to get on a given day.
That's fun. It's like Gervin Dexter, man. But I'm just gonna take him no matter what.
Yeah, just because you like
round.
I get
second round. The dude's upside is Chris Jones. Like that's what his upside is.
All right, where is our chat at? It looks like
it's Turner.
It's Turner. Okay,
it's Turner. Pretty much a landslide.
Okay, we are going interior defensive line with Kobe Turner, and then we will see what happens here. Now, again, we have moved around. We have an extra pick in 158 that we got from the Vikings in our trade up. Byron Young goes. Let's see. Mike Morris did go. Zach went right there as well. There goes Biggs.
There's Tank. Yep.
We're in the 4th round now, folks. Jacorian Bennett is going to be a great special teamer. I like Martin as well. He's just little. Says, there's my guy Skinner. There's my guy Skinner. Oh, what were you saying?
Like Caillou Blue Kelly goes in the 4th round. I think he might be a little bit higher than that for me, but we'll see.
I think so too, but I have a soft spot for Stanford corners. Evidently, I don't know why, but in the past I've had them ranked at least a round above where they go. So maybe there's just something built in there. So as we round that out, my guy Skinner goes. He's my favorite safety in this class. I think he can do it all. Don't think the Chiefs will go there too. There's Chase Brown, and I know you've been working running backs. Interested to see that he's like 5'7". 5'7" and 3 7/8. Is that what it is?
For who? I'm sorry.
For Chase Brown.
Oh yeah, I'm not a Chase Brown fan. I don't like him at all.
Super small.
And he's not like game changing. Like he's just a rotational plotter, in my opinion. Like he's just gonna run a guy over every now and then. Not gonna make anybody miss. Not gonna be a pass catcher. Like just a rotational dude. So that's just my own thing.
I'm with you. This is actually a great draft for us because I think this is how it may work out. We may see a smush of defensive talent on the defensive front that we're going to have a lot of options here. Morrow is still on the board. KJ is still on the board. Yasir Abdullah, who can rush from the outside, another speed guy, doesn't have a whole lot of power, but he brings that change of pace now. An investment at 122 in a speed rusher makes a lot of sense for just a change of pace. Coburn's in here. Zach Kuntz, the tight end, is in here. My guy Yaya is in here. Who else do we have? Davis Allen is my second favorite, like day 3 tight end.
Clark.
Yeah, I mean,
but
I haven't watched him yet. Jonah Tavai, he's literally like my little brother, but the dude can penetrate gaps. I'm just telling you.
I love Popone. I love Popo.
Let's see.
Riley Moss. I'm a big Riley Moss guy.
Are you? Okay.
I'm a big Riley Moss guy.
I have not done his film yet. I should have, because I did all of Van Ness's, so I was focused evidently. Okay. So we have a couple of like smaller guys, a couple of skill position guys, a couple of tight ends, and plenty of D-line support that we can follow that plan that we kind of already started. So why can't you guys,
go ahead. I'm just going to let everyone know if you guys are coming in late. We have first round pick. We have Broderick Jones, traded up to get Broderick Jones. Then we got Rashee Rice for the second round pick. And then we just took Kobe Turner out of Wake Forest defensive line. So if you're trying to figure out the picks that the Chiefs already have so you can make your best decisions, that's who they got.
Yeah. Sorry that this particular machine does not really show that very well.
Yeah, it's not very.
And honestly, I just got to be playing with you guys. This year for mock draft apparatuses sucks. It is a bad deal this year. So let's narrow it down, Dan. If you're going to take one defensive front guy in this group, who would you think is either a good risk or the best fit?
I think KJ Henry might be the best fit for what they're going to end up wanting.
Okay.
In the fourth round, and it makes a lot of sense too.
Now, who is your biggest risk at the tight end spot? Do you want the uber athletic, super tall, like Demetrius Harris Part 2, Zach Kuntz? Or do you want like a smooth route runner like Davis Allen?
Risk is going to be Kuntz all day. Like, he's the biggest risk.
Yes.
In this day 3 pick'em, super athlete, but doesn't really know what the hell he's doing. He's really just kind of running out there, and every once in a while he gets loose, and they're just like, "Hey, I'm open. Throw me the ball." I like Davis Allen from the route running perspective. That might be something they look to as well. So if I were to lean one way, I think it would be a proven route runner and Allen for a tight end. If that's again what you're looking at.
All right, folks. So this is your decision point. 2 Clemson prospects, KJ Henry on the defensive end spot or Davis Allen, the tight end. What do you guys want? Start your votes. Put their last names, either Henry or Allen, in the chat. I am going to answer the next super chat. Thank you, Maestro. Nice to see you. I found your channel back in 2019. I've learned so much from y'all. Suggestion: maybe try using polls for the voting system. I would love to do that, but I have not figured out a way to do it and reset it and not take up like 7,000 minutes in this 1 hour show. Maybe we should look at another. We may be playing with another streaming service that maybe will let us do that. Thank you, Maestro. That is a great suggestion. And I think that would probably help just with the tallies. Good point. And thank you for your support ongoing and before, but certainly for this super chat.
All right. Lots of Henrys.
Lots of Henrys. Okay. So we're going edge. We're going to keep building that outside. Good selection, folks. I like it. We're going to let this tick on by. Hutchinson goes. There goes Kuntz. Dwayne McBride is an interesting running back. I'm not super huge on running back yet, but he's an option there. Carl Brooks goes in 130. I do think he has a role to play for a team. I'm not sure it's the Chiefs, but I like that. And now we're back on the clock at 134.
Oof, running back run. Evans, Tucker, Johnson, Abanikanda.
Right. So Deuce is still there. I do think Deuce has a shot at getting drafted. I think it's going to be 6th or 7th round, though.
Yeah, me too.
We're in a similar situation in that Morrow is still here. I don't know why he's falling so far. I don't think he'll go this late. There's no way in hell that happens, but that's fine. He's there now. Keandre Coburn is still here. Yaya is still here. Moreno Cropper is an interesting wide receiver pick. I don't know if you've seen his film yet, but live, I thought he did some nice things.
I can tell you I have 0 Fresno State offense.
Okay, fair enough. You never know. You pull some rabbits out, my friend. I will not draft Bryce Ford Wheaton due to drops, period, end of story. What do you think?
I don't have any Western West Virginia to tape. I think I have one game that I've watched, and he's a very streaky, run down the field, and if it's not by somebody, he's not open kind of guy.
Okay, fair enough. I know you love Andre Osivas. Is that how you say it?
Yoshivas.
Okay.
Yosivas.
Okay. I know you love him, so he's a possibility there. A lot of safety depth in here right now. And I think that's worth looking at. But I do think we have, again, a similar option. Yeshivas. I got to get my Yiddish down to get better at that. Is there another skill position guy we can make an AB on? You haven't seen Cropper, but I do think Cropper's okay. Let's take a look.
Jarrett will be an option.
There's Charlie and there's Ronnie.
Those are two good, reliable players. I know Ronnie Bell had some drops at the Senior Bowl, but that's not his game. He doesn't drop the ball a ton.
Yeah. I think he's got a top 10 drop rate, to tell you the truth.
I don't remember.
So let's make it this. Let's make it the Princess Yeshivas as option A. And then we've taken Morrow a ton. So
yeah,
let's make it what? What do you think, Dan? What's the B?
Man, you think they're going to hit corner?
I think they could at this range. I think that's you want to make it Riley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the wide receiver from Princeton, Yeshivas, tall, catches the ball well. I think he snatches out of the air pretty decently from what I've seen. I haven't seen a ton, but what little I've seen there.
Yeah.
Riley Moss, Dan's guy, official Dan's guy. Put it in the chat. Which one do you want to see? Moss or Yeshivas? And if you just want to put wide receiver, I totally understand. I can't say it, let alone type it.
I understand it. But yeah, Moss was a guy that was, people want to move him to safety basically because he's white. Like he can't play corner in the NFL because he's white. That's not how it works. He has ball skills. He has the quick twitch, the hip flexion, the hip fluidity, the ankle flexion, and the speed all showed up at the Senior Bowl against it was a good wide receiver core that was there. So I'm a pretty big fan of Moss myself, but it would be hard for me to pass up on my guy, the athletic wonder out of Princeton that is Yosivas.
Okay, so it looks like wide receivers got a good bit. It looks like Riley's got a good bit. We're going to let that keep going. Is there a day 2 or 3 guy that falls that you would move up for? If they don't have an edge, I could see going up for BJ. If he falls into like 55, I could see BJ Ojulari being worth it myself.
For us, yeah. But when have they taken a speed rusher?
They haven't.
D Ford's the last speed rusher they drafted.
Well, we know how that worked out.
Yeah, so I can't see them actually doing it. I would love to, you guys. If they did, yes, I'll be so happy. But based on historical knowledge of what they've done under Steve Spagnuolo as the defensive end, that's the guy. Felix is the guy they go to trade up for.
Okay.
My opinion. He's also an option at 31, I think. I'll be very honest. If they stay at 31, I think he's an option there.
He could very well be. But certainly if he falls in, if he gets to 50, I think he is worth going up to get. I don't know how much you'll have to give up for him. That'll actually pay the dues there. But I do think that that's true. And then the third, if they really like somebody, I do think that KJ Henry has more upside to me than Zach Harrison. But Zach Harrison is a more Spags player, and he is a functional power edge right now. Mm-hmm. So I could see them, if they get into the third and they're worried about it, he gets to 80, they might go up and get him.
I could see them going up to get a guy like Jaden Reed too in the third round.
Yeah.
Because again, that's probably where his sweet spot is, mid-third. I think that's where he's going to go drafted. I think I have him graded higher, which is my own thing, but I think in the draft he'll go a little bit higher than that. But based on special teams, what he actually does and contributes to the offense, can get someone like that drafted. I think also Cedric Tillman, Jonathan Mingo is an option too. Mm-hmm. I think wide receiver might be if they don't take one in the first, I think it'll be in the third round, not in the second round myself. Okay, but we'll see, because you might miss out on some of those edges or tackle depending on which one you go in the first round. So it's really going to be a cat and mouse to see how they want to address and what order they want to address, or they just throw us all off and take a corner or a linebacker on day 2 because they want to just do whatever they want.
Yeah, I get it. I do want to point this out because Gary, I like the way that you think. but I regret to inform you that Ben Mason is a Baltimore Raven. He came out last year. I do like the game though. So let's hope everybody's moving away from fullbacks and there's some more available. So it looks like Moss is winning. Is that my?
That's my. He had a big run here so far. So after this pick, we'll go ahead and recap for those that are just joining.
Okay, let's do that, and we will take Riley Moss and put him in that defensive backfield. And watch the clock tick. We're going down to 158 now. This is what we acquired in the first trade that we traded up pre-draft. It was pre-draft, wasn't it, Dan? We did it beforehand, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Pre-draft, we went up to 23 at the Minnesota Vikings, and we were able to see Broderick Jones fall to us at 23. We took him there. We were happy as clams. We also got 158 in that deal for a couple of other later round picks. So that was there. What has happened in the meantime is that a couple of corners went that I think are solid. We talked about Jones. Deuce did go at 135 right after us. I do think that's a little high, but that's all right. Glad to see him drafted. Morrow did finally go. Mekhi Blackman, who I do like, ended up going down. Brandon Joseph got out there. He's a big safety that I think has more upside to him. Coburn goes. Kenny McIntosh goes at 152. I think
that's the spot for him.
I agree. And here's my guy, my sleeper that I just finished watching. Warren McClendon has upside to be a starter, folks. And if he goes in the 5th round, that's a steal. Yeah. He might be the next Trey Smith. He might be the next guy that is just undervalued because he's overshadowed by Broderick Jones. I could see, were he available right now, I'd be pushing, let's take a tandem right now of teammates. Let's get her done. And Braden Daniels is another tackle that I do think has some upside. So as we are on the clock here, okay, thank you, Mizzou. Appreciate that. That's awesome. What's your draft process? You would think that Veach and company were crazed or insane for drafting. Anybody whose position ends in RB.
I don't know if there's anybody that I think that they're crazy for them drafting. Depending on positional value and where, maybe. But again, I think Ryan hit it. if they're drafting a running back in the first 2 rounds, again, yeah, you're crazy. Sorry, you're nuts. Don't do it. There's just too much value in the draft and positions that you need to fill out to draft one there. So it doesn't make any sense. And I'll be very honest. I know people have been asking about Deneric Prince. I don't have any Tulsa tape. 0, none, nada. So I haven't seen anything from that guy. I know he tested out at the gym. He's tested as a really good athlete, fast guy too. So if I can find anything on him, I'll let you know. But unfortunately, that's just how this is. We don't get anything because the NCAA hoards this stuff. I don't know.
Well, we have 2 picks to make now in the next 8 picks. This is where I would start personally looking at running back. If Kenny were still here, I would grab him. Maybe a round previous, I would have thought about it as well. But you get a nice mix here. You have Rodriguez, who's a tough runner. He's not overly explosive, but you can get something out of him. You have Eric Gray, who a lot of people seem to be rising on. I haven't seen anything earth-shattering. Keaton Mitchell is RB1 in the athletic matrix, just so everyone knows. So when you're talking about a guy that can play teams for you and come in and be a 2-punch to Pacheco, it's a possibility. Luke Key's the fullback. We're not going to go there yet. I'm not. Have you watched? I like Dye live. I haven't watched his film.
Dye is just another kind of rotational dude, but again, that's what you're doing down here for. He's a short yardage guy. He's not going to do anything athletically.
I like Hull as well. He catches the ball really, really well. He might be the second best pass catcher in this class after Kenny McIntosh. So
I agree, and I think he's undervalued. Personally, I think he's extremely undervalued. I don't know where he ends up going in the draft, but I think right now in the 5th is probably too low for him. I think he might end up going in the 4th.
Agreed. Davis Allen is still here, the tight end prospect we were talking about.
Pull the trigger. Yeah. Just pull the trigger. Sorry, guys. Yeah. This is absurd. This guy's a really good route runner. You're not getting him in the 5th round. We're gonna pull the trigger on Davis Allen.
Okay, we'll do it. We're picking again here in 8 picks, so it's not a big delay here. Ali Gay finally goes. I do like Ali's game. He's just struggling after that injury a couple of years ago. He's never really been the same. When we look at value, you see Abdullah's back up here. Yaya, my guy, is still here. Keaton, as we were talking about, Jonah Tavai. I'm just looking through this list.
Is still there too.
Oh, okay. So let's go back. Is it Yeshivas? Is it
Or Yaya.
or Yaya?
Yaya.
There we go. Okay, there's a great one. Put it in the chat, folks. Yeshivas, the wide receiver, or Yaya, the defensive lineman. He can do it all, really. Derek Fuller, what top 30 player visits have surprised you? I don't have a comprehensive list right in front of me, but let me look.
Do.
Okay.
The Cam Smith was an interesting one. I think he's going to go in the second round. I got like 2 games of South Carolina that I've watched. Good player. He basically was asked to just sit on top of Jalen Hyatt against Tennessee. Don't let him get by you. And guess what? Nothing really happened. He didn't threaten them in that game. So that should really tell you what Jalen Hyatt's all about. So that made a little bit of made my eyes raise a little bit because can I help you, Trevor? Oh, my dog is just like hyperventilating over here. But the corner, because he's like I said, he's going to go in the second round. In my opinion, really good ball player, can play man, can play zone, but he's uninterested in tackling. Didn't make much sense to me because the Chiefs want guys that can tackle. But the wide receivers, I think he's the only guy that really made me raise my eyebrows.
The guy for me is Desmond Alexander from Pitt. On film, I did not care for him. I'm a little surprised. I am desperately trying to find film on BJ Thompson, the edge from Stephen F. Austin.
Yeah.
But that doesn't exist apparently, so I'll just keep holding my breath. Who else came in? There was
Western Kentucky, Broderick Martin.
Oh, yeah. Okay. He's a big body dude. I got to go back and check his athleticism. It was better than I thought.
He's wearing number 99 too. So, I mean, that's just,
it's like,
I'm just saying.
Hey. And the guy that I'm struggling to get film on that I am intrigued by is the App State tackle, Cooper Hodges.
Yeah. Looks like we got wide receiver winning this round.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get to that. So Yeshivas, welcome to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Come on down.
Where'd he go?
Come on down.
There he is.
Yeshivas.
We just raised the SAT score median for this team. I'll tell you that. Ryan Hayes goes. Cameron Letu, another I think underrated tight end that could help him out. Clayton Tune is a guy that is very athletic that I think could be a backup in this league that the Chiefs might consider.
With you. Jaron Hall is a guy I like personally.
There's my boy Yaya.
Just, I mean, if he's still there, he's calling to you, right? Like he's just calling to you.
He is,
and we did get enough people say Yaya in here, so just
yeah, I can do it. Okay, I'm going for it. Yeah, okay.
Pull the trigger.
That takes us to 217. We'll answer a couple questions as we get down there. Thank you, Derek. Night Hunter had what draft prospect makes you think Beach and Company were great? Okay, we did that one.
Yep.
Steven, have you checked out Ronnie Bell from Michigan? 5th round flyer, maybe. Yeah, I think that's a good range for him. Saw him live a few times, saw him at the Senior Bowl, and I agree with you, Dan. I don't think the Senior Bowl represented his game very honestly. So, folks, I am going to say this. Too. Yep, right. Folks, I have a couple questions, but if you want to get one in, last call for super chats and that kind of thing. Looking for other ones. The Ohio State in the second. Stephen, I'll put it probably nicer than I did last time. I think what Juwan Taylor signals is that they want to get back to their style of offensive tackle, and it is not a guy that is stuck. It's not a slow power type guy, and that's what DeJuan Jones is. I don't think he's an option for this offense. You can get the same size nearly with Darnell Wright, and he moves 10 times better. And I do think they want to get back to more of a zone run attack, and I do think that they want more nimble tackles. What are you chuckling about now?
That's right here.
Oh, did I pick the wrong dude? That's what I get for trying to do 7 things at once. That's all right. We got a little change of pace outside linebacker type rusher now. We'll see what happens. There we go. Next.
Hey, it works out. I would have taken Nkume if it was that guy, but that's fine.
Fair enough. He's still here.
I like Nkume.
He doesn't bother me at all either. Trevor Reed, another uber athletic offensive tackle that is going to be a total project in the range of Prince Tegawanagu. But I do think he's worth drafting late here in the 7th, possibly. Puka Nacua, I think we both like as a wide receiver options.
The end of the 6th? That's disrespectful. That's disrespectful.
Elijah Higgins is another tight end transfer that I think we could see, but we did go with Davis Allen, so we're set there. Salvadori is a guy that I think can also grow into a starter role. This is really low on him, but I think that's just lack of tape that PFF have seen on him. Anybody standing out to you, Dan, as like one of your guys that's still available?
Not so far. I mean, I think this would be a nice spot to just throw out running back because we haven't picked one yet, and I do think they're going to draft a running back. So I mean, both of us like Evan Hall. Again, this is crazy value for him. I think I agree, one of the best pass catching backs in the entire draft. You could also hit Keaton Mitchell, a really athletic guy. I think that there's really good options here for a complementary back to who's going to be your lead back. And I do think that if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is on the roster, I know not in this scenario, he's not because he was traded, but I think he's going to be used still. So you have to remember that if he's on the roster, they're going to use him. They're not going to just throw him to the side if he's healthy and ready to go. So yeah.
Okay, so let's put it this way. Let's narrow it down to Evan Hall or Keaton Mitchell. You guys vote in the chat. And we'll answer a couple of the last questions here.
Absolutely.
I don't know about you guys, but I kind of like Byron Young out of Tennessee. He's a little older, but I like his film. Yeah, I can like part of his film, but against stiffer competition, he has a tendency to disappear. He wasn't very productive against good tackles. I don't think that necessarily means you can't put him on the roster. I think it is kind of a he is. I think he's better now than what we saw from Kando. And they took him in the 4th.
I'm with you.
I think that makes sense. I like where you're coming from, Jackson. Let's ask this one of, if the Chiefs draft a QB, are we rolling with Buechele? Do you think they draft a backup QB, Dan?
I think they will in the 7th. If a guy that is there that they like, because I'm starting to actually really like Stetson Bennett. I really am. I'm watching him more, and I'm just like, I know he's 25. This dude can play. He can play.
And he will never lose that chip on his shoulder no matter what happens. He might be drunk at 6 a.m. somewhere in Dallas, Texas, but he will not lose that chip. Leon, have you guys seen the safety Nico Bolden from Kent State? I have not seen him. I don't have any Kent State film. I haven't been able to find it. But his performance, as you mentioned here, over 6'3", 4'4", and a 41 vert, he definitely has the athleticism to play special teams for this roster and maybe see what he can bring. They brought Deion Bush back, but you can't have enough competition. So I like that you brought him up, Leon. That's a very good
with
point.
You.
And if I can find some film before the draft, I'll definitely take a look.
All right, we've got Mitchell, Hall, Mitchell.
Okay, we're about split. Keep doing that.
Well, Tavion Thomas Ocean is a fullback in my opinion.
Is he?
The dude is slow. He's real slow. Like 4.7, I think he ran. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I think it was a 4.68. I got it here. I'll check. But yeah, I
have 4.74 was his combine time. It was 4.74. He's a fullback.
Yeah,
he's just not a running back.
Which automatically puts him on my roster. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, don't get me wrong.
11 fullbacks. Let's go. That's what I'm here for. Yeah, he's got good kinetics though. And I know that it sounds weird. He is above Eric Gray in the athletic matrix. I'm just going to tell you.
Yeah.
So
okay.
But nothing wrong with him. Just hasn't popped up that much. Ocean, I appreciate you. Hull. Let's see. Rev was saying it was killing Ohio State until he got injured. He has Kenny Walker third written all over him.
I don't know who he's talking about.
I think he's talking about.
Ibrahim.
Tennessee.
Ibrahim. Gotcha.
Ibrahim?
Gotcha.
Okay.
He's talking about so he's an injury risk. He's going to have a big red flag next to his name, and that's because when you deal with Achilles injuries, which I think that's what it was, he had a blown Achilles. He does not look nearly as explosive this past year as he was before he got hurt. Now, we'll see if he can get better. Obviously, you don't really know with each individual injury when they'll get back to full health, if they'll get back to full health. So before he was injured, the dude was – I loved watching him play. This last year, he left something to be desired.
Gotcha. Okay. And for those asking, Keaton Mitchell, yes, he can catch the ball. I'm double-checking his stats now, but it's 60 receptions for almost 10 yards a catch.
Yeah.
in college, and over 3,000 yards rushing. He is not only number 1 in the athletic matrix, he's also in the top 10 in production for all of
All
the
right.
metrics as well.
Let's take him.
All right. Okay. So that's the decision. Best running back in the 7th, Keaton Mitchell. Welcome. Catch the ball and run away, please. Run very, very fast and away. We'll let this run through the rest of the picks here, folks, and we'll wrap up your questions. Last call for questions and super chats. If you would click the like and the sub and the bell right now, we would appreciate it. That'll help you keep understanding where we're coming from when we go live. And we are going to be live tomorrow night for the Q&A. We'll answer all of your questions, all of your topics tomorrow. And then we get back into the film. We get into the stats. We get Seth's take on his film as well, because we can't always get live with him. We're going to try to do that more in the future, but we will get to that when we can get to that. So as we tick down here, we will review in a moment. But Ibrahim from Minnesota, yes, good point, Frank. We did bring him up. I have not seen his film yet. Have you, Dan?
Yeah, we just talked about Mo. He's just not as athletic as he was before his injury.
Okay. But I just haven't seen it. I wasn't sure if you had. Steven, thank you. We appreciate you very much. And thank you for the support and the vibes. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's get into the breakdown. So this is what we did. This was a pre-draft trade. So we ended up at 23. We got 158 as well. We gave up Clyde Edwards-Helaire and the first rounder and a couple of 7s. So the Minnesota Vikings are running back hungry, and that makes sense to me. So we got lucky here in this part, is that Broderick Jones fell to 23. We snatched him up at a heartbeat and went away running. I can't think of a better scenario, actually, for a trade-oriented mock draft. So we come back in the second round, stayed put where we are. We didn't do any more trades this time. Rashee Rice is there. We had a couple of options. We ended up going with him over Tillman and Perry because we've mocked them before, and I think they will be viable options there as well. We'll just see what the Chiefs like the best. Then we come back with Wake's Kobe Turner. You get another guy to rotate in with Turk, with Noddy, help Chris Jones out. That's going to be a big plus. And you like him in particular, right, Dan?
Yeah. I think he's going to be a good – that's the thing. He has some upside to his game, too, especially as a run defender. I think that he can get a little bit better in that regard and learn from Chris Jones. And I think that's what you want to do, is bring someone that can also do some of the dirty work but learn from a guy like Chris Jones.
I like it. And, folks, don't worry about these grades. This is just relative to where PFF thought they should go. We're going off Dan and my work, so don't worry about them. If you could look away, you could, but I can't make the screen go any shorter, I don't think. So maybe I can try. Maybe if I do that. See? Now it's just going to regrade everything. I shouldn't have done that. I'm dumb. Here we go. Okay. So I'm still not going to go. It's still not going to let me do that. So we come back. And then we got what I think was pretty good value with KJ Henry, a guy that I think can then go on and develop much like this is Kando area, but I think he's better off than Kando was when the Chiefs took him then. Come back with Riley Boss at another corner, sizable, right? He's like 6'2", isn't he?
Yeah, he's a taller guy too. He's got long speed. He can play in this defense. They're not asking him to do a ton, but he can change direction well. So I'm a fan of him.
Yeah, I like that. Number 8 in the matrix overall. So he has the athleticism. He has the length that the Chiefs like, over 6 foot. That plays into it. Then we come back with another Clemson. Davis Allen runs nice routes. I think he could fit into this group, and he could be a guy that could be a future backup. Obviously a lot younger than the guys that they have here, and I think a little bit different body type as well. Then Andre Yeshivas, the big and significantly sizable wide receiver, jumps into that group. What's your favorite aspect of his game?
I think that the fact that he was unable to really do much at Princeton, like he's more of an athletic guy early. You can still use him for a yak receiver, but he's going to get more in tune with running his routes. And he's already really, really good athlete, good change of direction. And then the underrated ball skills. He was dunking on guys at the Senior Bowl. Like he can go get the football. I want to see the Chiefs use that a little bit more. He's got really good hands.
Agreed. Thank you, Ocean. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We come back with Yasir Abdullah at 178, speed rusher. This was supposed to be my guy, Yaya, who can be a power rusher and a D tackle. So one way or another, we got Louisville front guy, and we finished up with Keaton Mitchell, the most athletic running back in this class. And yes, that does include Jahmyr Gibbs. This is all around athleticism, not just necessarily breakaway speed, but that gives the Chiefs an option for a little bit of the Lightning to go with Pacheco's Thunder. You know what I mean? And I think that's a nice fit. So overall, PFF liked this one. They gave it an A. What would you guys give it? Throw that in the chat because I'd like to know.
Yeah, right.
How do you feel about it, Dan?
I like it. I wished we could get a little bit better at wide receiver, but again, this you never really know with this class. I think both Rashee Rice and Yoshivas have yak potential. They're also bigger guys that are athletic in that short area. I think Rashee was playing with an injury last year, and it impacted his short area quickness. It was really hit or miss. Also, extremely good ball skills from Rashee Rice and Yoshivas. So you're putting that in a Chiefs team that I think does need it. So I like it. I would have liked to get defensive end help a little bit earlier, but again, it was difficult. I think this draft fell really good for them for what I'm looking at. I think we did a good job here.
Yeah, covered some bases. I am pretty happy with it. So that's our mock for tonight, folks. Looks like you guys are pretty happy with it as well. I'm glad to see that. We appreciate your support and your being here. We're going to be live again tomorrow night. We're going to answer your questions, not necessarily about all the draft picks, although I'm sure there'll be some draft pick questions. We'll get into other options as well. So have a great Monday. We're going to be back then. Even Miss Avery will be here because she wants to give us
absolutely.
So we do appreciate that. You guys have a good night and a good Monday, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.